afternoon, Mzansi, and a very warm welcome to you. My name is Balisa Tembe, and this is Afternoon Express. Now, it is a Tuesday, so you already know what time it is. It is our famous cook-along. Now, I'm so excited to be cooking along side by side with you from the top to the end of the show. But I can't do it alone. In the kitchen, I've got my favorites of all time. Chef Mo, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me.
Girl, twice in 1 week, I feel lucky.
Hey. Lucky, everyone.
I know, and I'm here for it. I'm so here for it. And we're welcoming back into the loft Chef Ayesha. Now, girlfriend, last time you were just such a smash hit last week, we had to bring it back.
Obviously.
I love it. So what are you going to be cooking for us? What's on the menu?
So for today, we're going to be doing a lovely Biltong and Cheese Pastry Wreath as a starter. Very quick, very simple. And then we're moving on to yam, Chicken and Feta Pasta. And then dessert, we're going to be doing a nice ode to South African dessert. We are doing Sago Pudding.
I love that. That sounds absolutely delicious. So without further ado, with the elite quality, elite taste, and elite texture, giving your family the best of the best has become so much easier thanks to Clover cheese. Now, on our cook-along today, Chef Ayesha will take us on an indulgent soiree with a Biltong and Cheese Wreath to get cooking along with us and, of course, get the party started. Now, ladies, let's get cooking. What do we need to make this delicious Biltong and Cheese Wreath?
Okay, so for this, it's all about convenience. Again, as always, that's my go-to. We are using a store-bought puff pastry. And then what you are going to be doing for us is grating some cheese. We're using some lovely Clover cheese.
Okay.
And then classic South African ingredient, biltong.
I love myself some biltong, South Africa. Whether I'm hungry, whether I'm feeling peckish and snackish, and obviously it is no surprise that I am such a cheese girl, so I'm here for it. And what I also love about Clover cheese is that it contains 100% clover milk. So you know what? Ticking all the boxes. And over there, Mo, what are you up to?
So if you do have a little bit more time on your hands, you can totally make the pastry from scratch. And Ayesha has also come up with a 2-ingredient pastry, which is self-raising flour and plain yogurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
good. And that one's going to be more of, if you're doing it like that, we're going to have more of a bread texture than a pastry texture.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is just roll this out, just a little bit of flour, just so that it doesn't stick. And we are going to, as best as I can, into a circular motion. And then, let's do that.
So that is essentially rolling out your puff pastry. Yeah. But I love the fact here that you're showing us two different methods, essentially, of creating this delicious meal from scratch. If you're those type of people or type of event hosts, and you love to start things from scratch.
You like to do everything yourself.
Girl, then that's what Chef Mo is essentially doing. But Chef Mo, you said that the consistency will then come out different. It'll come out. So which one is a bit more stodgier and which one is a little bit more light?
So this one that I'm making is a little bit more stodgier, but then you roll it out thinly. And also if you think about, you know, sort of like a bread texture, like Ayesha said, and then that with the cheese and the biltong.
That's going to be so good.
So indulgent. And also you want to impress your girlfriends when you're having them over for dinner. So go the extra mile. But also when you have no time at all, the puff pastry is the perfect method.
The way to go. So what I've got is as circular as I could get that by freehand. So what we're going to do is just in the center of this, do a little asterisk, just because we are going to be using that to be pulling our corners and recreating the wreath shape or form with that. So, Pali, do you have our cheese?
Yep, cheese check.
Cool.
So before you cut it,
we're going to do that.
Cheese first.
So so we're going to do the cheese all around, avoiding obviously where the points are.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do something simple for myself and then do that. And then obviously first thing, because puff pastry will 100% stick to whatever you are using. Cooking spray, baking spray, olive oil, little bit of butter. Anything just to stick it down. I'm just going to do that.
And that's for any baking?
That's for any baking, for any type of pastry, even the one that you are doing over there.
Yeah.
Just lost my shape there a little bit.
I love this. This is delicious, ladies. But as I'm just chopping up my biltong, I'm just becoming reminded, slowly but surely, of the holiday that we just celebrated, which was Human Rights Day. And that's what today's recipe is all about. I mean, if we were to just backtrack, and if you also observed the day, you know what it's all about. It's just essentially celebrating not only our heritage, but where we come from as a nation. Of course, it has been a bit of a dark history, but we're turning it up and celebrating the most positive side of it, which is with our South African, proud South African food. So as I chop up this biltong, that's just what I was thinking. But I mean, Ayesha, when you do think of proudly kind of South African meals and human rights day and what it means to different South Africans, how do you then create something perfect within your menu?
Oh, that's a difficult one.
Yeah.
If I look at, we've got so many dishes that we are proud of. The classic ones that everybody knows. I mean, we've got so many different cultures and religions within South Africa that everyone has their own sort of dishes that they have. We've got milk tart, we've got sago pudding like we've done, there's peppermint crisp. I don't know anybody that doesn't, any South African, put it that way, that does not like a peppermint crisp tart.
Yeah.
We can also think of, oh gosh, there's so many. A good curry, a bunny chow, malva pudding, just, back in desserts. A bunny chow, love a good bunny chow. I think that's unique to us, if I'm not mistaken.
Definitely. I mean, I'm here for all of that. I mean, Mzansi, that's what it's all about here, showing us different ways of celebrating who we are, like Mzansi. We're doing it with food today during our cook-along, thanks to our guest chef, Ayesha. And we're about halfway, would you say, with creating
We're almost
this
done,
delicious
yes.
wreath.
We're just waiting for you and the biltong.
Okay, perfect. So as a quick recap, Chef Mo, what did we put together to create this delicious wreath?
So I started with a 2-ingredient dough, which was just yogurt and self-raising flour. As you can see, it came together so nicely. Basically, it's just 2 cups of flour and 1 cup of yogurt. And then you've got a beautiful, soft, pliable dough. Put that aside to let it rest for a little bit. And then Ayesha has created a beautiful wreath shape.
It started out as a wreath shape.
So you first make your asterisk.
Yeah, the asterisks in the middle.
Yeah.
It would be ideal to then first move it onto your dish before you cut the asterisks out. But it's all good. So then we've added salt and pepper to season. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to pull that over and we are going to create that little cute little shape. And then we've got little pockets over there of cheese and biltong.
And you fold in the ends.
Yeah, we're going to fold in the ends just so that it looks exactly like a wreath. There we go.
Now, ladies, as you're just folding up your wreath and putting that all together, we could not do this recipe entirely without the love of clover. You know the goodness of clover, ladies. Clover cheese includes an elite range of different cheeses ranging from cheddar, Gouda, Tussers and white cheddar to feta. Now, I know that we're going to also be using our feta in the next ingredients, with the next recipe rather, which I'm so excited for. So, ladies, this is what we're here for. We're kind of creating a girls' get-together party here. I'm here for it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we are still under lockdown, even though it is lighter restrictions. We are still under lockdown. We all should still be observing social distancing. Yeah. So if you are having your girls over for a girls' night, a girls' stay-in, this is one of those things that's so quick, so easy to do. And everyone can enjoy. And I mean, it's indulgent. It's butter, it's cheese, biltong, it's all the good stuff. I
mean, Ayesha, as you are detailing those delicious ingredients that we used, just head over to our website right now, Mzansi, at afternoonexpress.co.za, and you can get the full ingredients list and recipe to make this delicious starter, biltong and cheese wreath. I mean, I'm loving it. Thank you so much for showing us how to do it. I mean, Chef Mo, any last tips and tricks when we put this together?
I think maybe just you sprinkle a little bit of dried herbs.
Yeah, we did an egg wash. You have to do. That's going to give you that nice golden glow over your pastry. It's always advised to do that over a pastry. And just some dried herbs. By all means, you can use it fresh herb as well. Mixed herbs, anything that you prefer. You can do a nice chili flake over. If you're in for a little bit of heat as well. In your oven for 200 degrees at 15 minutes and done.
We are done and dusted, just like that. Nothing but elite quality, elite taste, and elite texture. To get the recipe, again, Mzansi, head over to our website and stay tuned for more to come. Now, on social media, I want to find out from you, if we here at Afternoon Express were to visit you at your home, what do you think we'd rate your cooking out of 10? Use that hashtag Afternoon Express in all of your comments. But coming up, we're going to be creating a delicious chicken and feta pasta that we're going to be breaking up in 2 different parts. Whilst I enjoy this biltong, see you after these.
Clover cheese is for those who love life, where everything falls into place and melts away our cares, adding joy and stretching our imagination. Clover, for the love of cheese.
Made with love by Clover.
Express yourself.
pharmacies are on the front line of healthcare. This is Pharmacy of the Week.
We've been going through this pharmacy for a very long time, since at a young age. So they know us all as a family, they know what we take, they know what's good for us. So the relationship is very good because they know what really works for us. When you got a script here, they don't only sell you what you have on the script, they also recommend another thing that will also help you boost your immune system and everything.
We want to see the community happy and everyone illness-free. They must come in when they're sick and then they must go out smiling.
Pharmacy of the Week, proudly brought to you by Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave.
Welcome back to our Afternoon Express cook-along. Now we're back with our favorites chefs in the kitchen, our darling Chef Mo and our guest chef, Chef Ayesha. Now we've already made a delicious biltong and cheese wreath, so we're about to step into the main meal.
Yes.
Now we've all seen the baked feta trend on our TikTok and our social media platforms, but we're convinced that our chicken and feta pasta will definitely become just as popular in your kitchen. Now Chef Ayesha, girl, let's go for it.
Cool. So I've basically just taken that and gone the long way around and added just a few extra ingredients just to amp up the flavor and amp up the taste. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to halve those cherry tomatoes for us, please, and then chop just a rough chop on our fresh herbs. And then I am going to get our pasta water is going. We want to get it to a nice rumbling boil. And then we are going to do that and then start on the chicken. There we go. Perfect. So we've got that. Just waiting for that to heat up a little bit. Then we are going to take our chicken fillet and just do some slices or cubes, slices, yeah, strips or cubes, whichever you prefer. I know everybody does their own thing.
Yeah. And Chef Mo, on your side?
So, you know, I'm all about making things from scratch because if there's anyone extra, it has to be me. So, if you do have more time, like we're saying, you can use either the shop-bought pasta or you can make your own pasta.
Now, girl, I've seen people on social media making their own pasta, but it always is like these gourmet chefs, Michelin star level chefs. So I'm so curious to find out if I'm at home and I just have the basic ingredients and basic tools and cutlery and crockery that we need, how then can I make the perfect pasta?
So I'm going in with hands, and all I've got is 2 cups of flour and 3 eggs. It's an egg pasta. So it's very fresh, very al dente, and also, please, I do not need any bad reviews on my pasta making skills. I'm also just, you know, following instructions from different chefs because everyone has different methods.
Yeah.
So you got to find your comfortable way of doing it. So I'm just going to go in. So you go in with whole eggs. You make a well on a clean surface. You've got your flour, and then go in with your eggs. And then you just got to slowly incorporate the eggs with the flour. So I'm going to attempt that. And your hands do get dirty, but it's worth it.
I love that. So whilst you're incorporating the eggs within the flour in your well, it's already looking like a masterpiece there. A true professional in the kitchen. I mean, Chef Ayesha, Chef Mo was talking about the fact that sometimes you got to be flexible in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Follow different tips, tricks from your favorite chefs and find something that works for you. Is that essentially how you were also able to sharpen your skills in the kitchen?
No, you're definitely. You've got what I like to call is steel with the eye. I mean, you're learning from someone, whether it's on social media, whether it's on TV, or someone personally. You can always learn. There's always room for improvement, and you can always learn something from someone because not everybody does everything the same way you do it. That's a good thing. So we're just going to...
And speaking of which, I mean, we're taking on a social media challenge here, a TikTok challenge that I've been seeing trending all the way, and it uses feta.
Yes.
Tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, just like that. And they kind of put it together in a way that comes out perfect every time. But for me, what I love about it is that it uses feta cheese. Now, Clover traditional feta cheese is available in plain, herb, and black pepper flavor variants. And that just adds to that flavor level and adds to that taste. And I'm here for it.
Yes, definitely.
And what I like about Chef Ayesha's recipe is that the trend is the baked feta pasta. But her version is all stovetop. So if you don't have an oven, do it this way.
And I mean, it's extremely hot outside today, especially. So on a day like today, and you don't want to put your oven on because honestly, why would you? You can definitely do this on the stovetop. I've even done it in my air fryer before.
That is
so that's, you know, quick, simple. And that's what I'm about.
One pot.
That's the point of this, is that it's a one pot. I mean, obviously, besides the fact that you're cooking your pasta separately, everything else goes into the same pan.
A one-pot wonder.
The one-pot wonder is the way to go.
Yes. And what I also love about the entire menu that you've put together for us is the fact that as we just keep going with our theme as coming together, whether it's family, friends, girls, boys, whatever it is, that we can essentially create the meals together. And I'm so here for it. I mean, whether you have a dinner party for the girls or a little get-together with the boys as you're watching your sports, this is something that you can whip up in the comfort of your own home. But it comes out perfect almost every time.
Every single time.
Definitely.
Okay, let's keep going.
So our chicken is nearing done. We've got a nice color on that. What we can do then, if you've got the cherry tomatoes that's done for me, then we will add this. It's going to splatter. It's definitely going to splatter a little bit. Just going to add the tomatoes to that.
The water.
Yeah, that's definitely due to the water content of the tomatoes and the oil. And everyone knows oil and water does not mix very well. So just be careful with that. And all you're wanting at the moment is you just want the tomatoes to soften, and then also just until the skin split a little bit. That's how you know your tomatoes are done, and that's so good.
And it also releases flavor. It releases flavor into the chicken.
And it's amazing.
I was going to say sometimes a lot of the time I wait a little too long and my cherry tomatoes completely disintegrate within my pan. And no, I don't want that. So I love the fact that you've just given us a little way to see just by the eye whether your tomatoes are done or not. And I love the fact that it's just, you know, you just want the skin to
just the skin slightly start peeling off, and that's how you know it's where you want it to be. So once the chicken and the tomatoes get to where I want it to be, the thing that I've done differently from TikTok is I like to add tomato puree to mine. Just because I think I love a nice good sauce on a pasta. So you want absolutely everything to be coated. So we're just going to add about a cup of tomato puree.
Yeah. That's a brilliant idea, I think, because like you said, then your pasta is not
Exactly,
too dry.
it's not too dry, and
Yeah.
especially if, I mean, I don't know if this happens to you, but this always happens to me. Is I always boil more pasta than I need. You
That's
can never measure that.
All of us.
correctly. I don't understand how. And I know there's a little gadget with a spoon, especially with spaghetti, that apparently the little hole in the middle is the perfect portion size for one person.
Oh.
I had no idea that that's what that's for.
Sometimes
live and you learn.
3 of those.
I know. I've already chopped up the fresh herbs.
Awesome.
They're ready
Thank
to go.
you. That's
So they'll
really
just sit on your side for when
Yep.
they're ready.
And so now we're still waiting for our water to do its thing over here.
It's slowly.
Yeah, slowly it's getting there. But what you want to do essentially is before you add your pasta water, you want it to be at a rumbling boil. And when I say rumbling boil, I mean boil.
Yeah.
Don't simmer your water, none of that. So you want to add just a little couple of glugs of olive oil, if you will.
And speaking
your
of
water.
adding glugs to your water, glugs of olive oil to your water, we still have to check in on Mo's station.
Yeah.
Because Mo is trying to tackle this pasta from scratch, something that I've personally never done.
Yes.
So Mo, how's it going? What have you done so far?
I think my dough has formed quite beautifully. Look at that. So now you
Nice.
just got to knead it a little bit more, get those gluten strands going, and then it's got to rest, and then you have to like roll it out. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. What I also love about it, I mean, as you putting in that dollop of feta, looking so good,
Yeah.
meshed within that chicken and tomato recipe. I mean, essentially, feta is good for snacking, cooking,
yes.
and baking. So whilst we watch our feta melt into that goodness, we're going to head over to a commercial break. But then when we come back, we're going to be putting the finishing touches on this delicious chicken feta pasta dish.
Clover cheese is for those who love life, where everything falls into place and melts away our cares, adding joy and stretching our imagination. Clover, for the love of cheese.
Made with love by Clover.
Welcome back to the Afternoon Express kitchen. As you can see, the ladies are hard at work. You know, we're putting together this magic here side by side with you from the top of the show. We are in part 2 of whipping together a delicious chicken and feta pasta. Now, Chef Ayesha, our guest chef for today, has been just talking us through quite diligently and quite thoroughly as to what we need to do to create this magic at home. But of course, if you have missed it, just head over to our website and we have detailed it for you there at afternoonexpress.co.za. Chef Ayesha, take it away, girl.
So now we finally got our water going. So we're just going to pop our pasta in there. If you are doing an instant pasta, cook to your package instructions because every brand has a different way of cooking their pasta. If you are doing it fresh, that's the best thing about a fresh pasta is it literally just needs 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes hot water because it's fresh, it's already cooked.
Yeah.
So you just want to get that softness and get it nice and fluffy. So we are going to do that. We've got olive oil and salt, very important when boiling pasta water. If I remember when I was on chef school, our chefs used to tell us all the time, your water should be as salty as the ocean. All the time, as salty as the ocean.
Wow.
And also, now that this is basically done, that's got a nice creaminess to that. You're going to turn that off the heat. Pasta water is like gold. So what I'm going to do is add just a little bit of our pasta water. I've got a little bit of a macaroni in there. So we don't want the macaroni right now. So we're going to add that. And you can add your pasta water just to make your sauce a little bit thinner. And depending on how you prefer your consistency, I mean, look at that. Makes massive difference.
A world of a difference. I'm already seeing the colour slowly start to change, lightening up from that very harsh red tomato-y colour.
Oh, nice.
That feta, honey, girl, has
did its
melted
thing.
to perfection. I love the fact that it almost took, 2 minutes to melt completely down. So simple and easy. And then, of course, as you said, the pasta water is gold. So we're here for it. We just put a little bit in there and it's already cooking
just about
down.
1 ladle. And you can go, I mean, depending again, we can just maybe add another little bit. You can go a ladle at a time. Not a lot because I think the one thing people don't talk about when it comes to this pasta is it's a little salty. And because you're adding the feta, that's what makes it so salty. And then the acid of the tomato reacts with that as well. So you will see that in the pasta sauce itself, I won't add any salt at all. So we just do lots of fresh herbs. And then because we're using the salt water from the pasta, it's adding, again, more salt that you're adding into that dish. So my recommendation is, I mean, everybody is up to taste, but my recommendation is kind of avoid adding salt when you're making this dish.
Okay, I love that. And also, the fact that we are just doubling up here on the ingredients that's already within your pasta water. We're just reusing that olive oil. Love the fact that it's a healthy oil as well. So the more the better. It's good for the skin, honey. And then that salt and that pepper as well just helps. Chef Mo, on your side, girl, you are chopping up one of my favorite fruits. Yes. Where does it go in?
Well, not a popular beverage that we all know about. But this is just going to break up a bit of the starchiness of the pasta. A lovely, fresh, vibrant salad always goes so well with any pasta. So, Pali, I hope you are chopping up the cucumber over there.
Girl, I was... you know, this is always what happens to me when I get around the kitchen with the family or the girls. Palisa just talks away. She ends up doing none of the hard work. But okay, I'm here for it. I'm just going to be chopping up this cucumber, and I'm also going to be adding some more cherry tomatoes for the salad.
More tomatoes, because I mean, tomatoes is my #1 obsession. I have to say that. It's really great. You know, a lot of people always ask me, what do you use for your skin? And I say, it's not about what I use on the outside, it's about what I consume on the inside.
Come on, girl.
Because that then reflects on the outside. So my secret is tomatoes.
Lots of it.
Lots of it. Green leafy veg like spinach. Yes. And broccoli. So what we're doing, we're just putting together little salads, got some spinach. But if you have broccoli, like we said,
I mean,
all your leftovers.
Whether it's with the salad or with the pasta as well, you could do absolutely anything. If you've got leftover veg in your fridge, and I mean, everybody, you know, towards the end of the month, nobody really eats that last little packet of broccoli that sits in, in the drawer in your fridge.
I mean, Ayesha, have you come to my house?
You know that last little packet of broccoli? I've shamefully had to just got so many packets of broccoli in my time. But I mean, if you've got vegetables, whether it's peppers, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, absolutely anything, always find ways to reuse it. And this pasta is a perfect example to do that.
Love it.
I mean, peppers, red pepper, yellow pepper, green pepper would be amazing in this dish. And with the salad as well, just use what you have available, especially in these times. Nobody wants to be going out to the store and purchasing more things that they need or extra ingredients that they can't really have access to. So just use what you have.
Absolutely. And I just want to ask, which herbs did you use for your
For the dish, we've used some fresh parsley and fresh basil.
basil is always such a winner with tomatoes, right?
Tomato, love.
So, ladies, is that why, just for me, a winner combo in any pasta has to be a basil pesto? Oh,
yeah.
girl, listen, a basil pesto with the chicken is absolutely amazing. But I store by my basil pesto. I've actually never handmade from scratch a basil pesto.
It's much better. I will
So
say
much
this. It's
easier.
much better. The color's a lot better.
Yeah.
It's a lot more fragrant because you know, with anything that you're making yourself, you know exactly what's going into it. So you don't have to worry about any preservatives, any additives, anything like that. You are doing it yourself, all natural. And that sometimes is, I mean, it does take longer and it is a bit of a mission most times.
Yeah.
But it is better.
It's so
Definitely
much better, and you can store it in your fridge for much longer. You know, you can also freeze it.
Yes.
In like a ice
Little
cube
thing,
tray.
yeah. Oh, I love that little nifty trick as well with the
Yeah.
olive oil.
Yes.
To
with
store your
herbs.
herbs. Again, one of those things that always just get lost at the back of the fridge.
I know.
Herbs all the time.
Well, ladies, I'm so glad that we're speaking about this because this really does bring me to our social media question. The way we're bouncing around ideas here in the kitchen as to how you can spice up any menu with the ingredients that you have at home, which makes me ask, if we, as three ladies, were to visit you in your home, what would you rate your cooking out of 10? Use that hashtag Afternoon Express in all of your comments, and I'll be reading out some of your ratings at the end of the show. Now, Chef Mo, for that pasta, for that salad, now I'm saying pasta, for that salad, I've already whipped up my cucumber and my tomato. It's ready for you
That's
to use.
perfect. And while she's doing that, you can pass that over.
Yeah.
The pasta is just about ready as well.
Here's a
So we're
fork
going
if
to,
you'd like to.
just turn that off. So we are going to, oh, that's off again. So your pasta should be al dente, not soft, not mushy, just enough that it has just a little bit of you. What this we used to do is put it between your teeth. It's a very strange thing. But you know, take one out of the pot. Take a bite and you'll feel that's the best way to know if something is ready. If you're doing it yourself, is just to get in there. So this is not hot, so that's fine. We've got a nifty little strainer thing over here.
Making pasta use juice and making it so much easier.
Much easier. Let's get that water out of there. And then we might just keep that. And then we're going to add
A one
lovely
pot one.
macaroni. Oh, I think I've got some of these stuck in there. Macaroni, and then there we go. Mix it.
I love that. Chef Mo, that pasta, you're putting those finishing touches on it. I see that feta's coming in use yet again, doubling up on the ingredients.
Because we love our clover feta, there's also the herbs that you can use, the one with herbs and the black pepper.
Oh, I think the herb one would have been.
It would, and also the black pepper might do well in this pasta as well, because it's quite the salt ratio with the black pepper. So any of the clover fetas will work perfectly in this recipe.
I love
We've
that.
done that, and we're just going to finish off once you're plating with, again, just a glug, if we're going to use that again, of fresh herbs, just to give it some color, and then voila, it's done.
I love the fact here that we're just balancing out the flavors as much as the pasta is very acidic
yeah, it is.
because of the tomatoes, and that we also used not only the cherry tomatoes, but we used the paste as
the
well.
puree as well, yes.
As well. Okay, so this is essentially helping to cut through that tanginess, or complement it, if you'd like to also think, by using the pineapple in the salad.
Yes.
The colors are just exploding there, Chef Mo.
It does, and that pineapple adds a little bit of zinginess and also a bit of sweetness to the recipe. So we're balancing acidity, like you said, of the tomato dish with our fresh salad. So we've got cooked versus fresh.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think all we're missing right now is a nice good garlic bread.
Oh, yes, Queen, I love that. I love
That's
that.
a good meal.
And of course, if you are entertaining someone who is vegetarian, all you have to do is omit the chicken. And then you've got a perfectly good pasta dish for them to enjoy, so they don't feel as left out.
And I mean, again, if you're taking out the chicken and you're adding vegetable, it's just as delicious and it's just as filling, so that if you've got someone, like you said, who've got a dietary restriction, they don't feel left out, they don't feel like they're eating something different.
Absolutely. Now, Mzansi, that's a meal no one can resist. To get the recipe, head over to afternoonexpress.co.za to get again that full recipe, and stay tuned as we bring you our final dish. Afternoon Express. Now we are back about to put a sweet touch to a very delicious cook-along. Now, Chef Ayesha, it's been such a pleasure just talking through every recipe with you from start to finish. Now we're about to create a sago pudding.
Yes.
Why, before we get into the recipe, why did you choose this honest day like today? And as we celebrate Human Rights Week?
I think, well, when the brief was, for us to create something South African, and I thought, we're so tired of the same, the malva pudding, the maltod. I think something that we don't really talk about a lot is sago pudding. And
I love
it's,
that.
It's a nice alternative as a dessert. It's a strange dessert, but it's a tasty one.
I'm here for it. Now, Mzansi, one of the most iconic, nostalgic and comfort in a bowl sweet recipes for these gloomy cold days has to be a sago pudding. Made with just a few ingredients, this pudding comes together in almost no time and hits that sweet spot. I'm here for it and I'm ready to cook, girl. So what do we need to create this?
So the first thing you need to do before you... It's the sago pudding. It's the most important ingredient.
Sorry, Ayesha, before you get into it, let's move that that bowl, that blue bowl, so South Africa can see the ingredients all lined up nicely in front of you.
Okay, there we go. So we've got sago. I've got about 1 cup of dried sago, and the recipe requires 1 liter of milk. So what I did was we just soaked about half of the milk, or just enough milk that it covers the sago, and you've got to leave it, ideally for 2 hours or overnight if you've got the time. It's one of those things that you could do and then just leave it in the fridge, and then we're going to want it to look like this, so it looks almost cloudy. And then once it gets to the heat, it will cook, it become transparent, like little jellies that will be inside your mouth.
Love it. Yum. And that's that textures that I just don't understand sometimes. I'm like, what? But I like it.
But you don't quite understand what's going on inside your mouth. Sago pudding is one of those things.
I love that. I mean, Mzansi, sago pudding is made with sago, or alternatively, it's also known as tapioca.
Tapioca.
Oh, tapioca.
Tapioca, girl. Okay, I love that. Listen, you don't have to pronounce it the same, but just as long as you know what it is here. And when you do call it an alternative name, why do people refer to it as tapioca or sago? Sago.
I think I could be very wrong, and I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but if I'm not mistaken, I think it might actually be 2 different things.
Okay.
So tapioca pearls are a lot bigger than sago, and at the moment, all the rage is tapioca, because I don't know if you know the tea drink boba. I think that's what it's called. So yeah, in the tea drinks, that's what they use tapioca for.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And sago is so versatile because it's also used as a thickener for pies. I know my mom uses it.
Steak pie.
Steak pies and mince pies.
Obviously.
So it's a natural thickener as well. So instead of flour, you could use sago.
I love that. Exactly. Oh, I'm loving the different uses here. It's truly broadening my knowledge of it. And then you're going in here with your clover milk. And this is essentially...
This is 2 cups of 500 ml, so it's 2 cups of milk. We're just going to let that heat, and then what we are going to do is be adding the sago that we've soaked into the milk. Once it's heated up a little bit, we're going to be adding nice flavors of cinnamon, so it's nice and warm. It makes it very good, especially with Easter or any kind of a winter dessert. It makes a good dessert, and some sugar for that sweetness.
Here for it.
Yeah.
Chef Mo, on your side, how's it going, girl?
So on my side, because the recipe requires 5 egg yolks, and what we like to do with our recipes, this is such an iconic recipe, is that you don't waste the egg whites.
Yes.
So we're going to whisk the egg whites until they're white and a little foamy and peaky, while the egg yolks go into that mixture to sort of bind it.
Yeah, and make it a custard. That's what we're doing. Yeah, we're making a custard, yes.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting for that.
It's almost like similar to a rice pudding.
It's exactly that.
Yeah.
It's basically, it's essentially, it is the same thing. And we're just substituting rice. We are using sago instead then. Yeah. So we're just going to avoid the splashback.
So then if everyone is wondering what I'm up to, all I'm doing is just chopping up the fresh elements of this delicious pudding. We decided on berries because, I'm a fan of berries. So we've got raspberries and strawberries here. Super simple. I mean, there's nothing that goes into just chopping these up. Truly a brainless activity for the talker in the kitchen. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'm here for the jokes, honey, not for the skill of whipping it up like them.
Yes.
So how's it going on that side on the pot, Ayesha?
So the way I also just separated my eggs, I use my hands, because what often happens to me is when you use the eggshells, you pierce the yolks.
Yeah, that always happens.
That has happened to lots of people. And so I use my hands.
That's what I do as well. And also just talking about the yolk, you cannot have a speck of yolk at all when it comes to the egg whites, because if it has any trace of fat, and that's the one thing, egg whites, they're very finicky and they cannot at all have any traces of fat. So a good thing that I do is if you've got lemon or vinegar, is just dab it on a cloth or a paper towel and just wipe down the equipment that you're going to be using. So whether it's your bowl and then your mixer, and then also to be sure to never ever use a plastic bowl when you are making any sort of egg white mixture, whether it's a meringue or whatever. I mean, because it's not going to work, it's not going to whip up.
And that's the same theory, I think, for if you're whipping cream as well, because that has happened to me so many times.
You've used
But then I've also used a fork to whip cream in a plastic bowl. Didn't quite work out. I was still practicing my cooking skills back in the day, so...
Trying to find an alternative.
Okay, lovely.
And then the idea for these egg whites is that you don't want it too stiff, right?
Yeah. So you just want, we're not going to call it stiff. It's not going to be a stiff peak as you normally would say for a meringue because it doesn't have any stabler inside it. There's no sugar. It's just plain egg whites that we're whipping up. So it'll be a nice foamy texture that we are going to fold into the pudding as a last step because that will give it that nice creamy, that nice aerated texture.
Wow. So it seems like the way you ladies describe the sago pudding, there seems to be quite a lot of technique needed in it.
Yeah. So we can see now, if I can just get a spoon, we can look at that, the changing of the tapioca, because you can put it in my head now, the sago, where you can see it's starting to become a little transparent. So you can see this little white, the specks of it, that was what it looked like before, and now it is almost done.
And when do you add your spices? So
I've already added the cinnamon to the milk because you want that to infuse the flavors of the milk. So we've done that, and now it'd actually be a very good time to add vanilla. So I've got about a tablespoon of vanilla. We can use... Oh, thank you. We can use vanilla essence, but why I like using a vanilla paste, especially for something like this, you can see the little flecks from the vanilla pod. Because it's a white dessert, essentially. Let's put that
Any
there.
bit of colour.
Any bit of colour, yes. So the little flecks, we're just going to make sure, because vanilla is very expensive. We want to use absolutely everything. Just clean that teaspoon over there. And you'll be able to see once it starts to break down and get into the milk, the little nice little flecks of black. And that's what I look for when it's a vanilla dessert. I always look for that little flecks because I want to know that if you're telling me it's vanilla, there better be real vanilla in there.
Absolutely. And honey, as you are talking about the different flavors that we can find in the dish, I mean, you can add your favorite flavors to this, like cardamom, vanilla, like we're doing today, jam, or even a touch of citrus. I'm here for that.
I was just about to say, if you just take your time, pop it in the milk while the milk is heating, you get an amazing citrus flavor to that, and that would be so tasty.
Now, Chef Ayesha, have you already added all those other little
touches? We're going to do that now. Just give me a second. So that's exactly, I was waiting for this to happen. So we're just going to turn that down a little bit, and now we are going to pop the butter in there.
Now, Chef Mo, I love the fact that you're taking the easy way out that side. Because, honey, that you always have me whipping my peak stiff and make me work out here in the kitchen. So I love the fact that now you're making your life easier, but I'm here for it, Queen.
So be careful. Now we want to work fast because we don't want our eggs to scramble. There is nothing worse than tasting scrambled eggs in your dessert. And automatically the color has changed. So it's now a nice rich golden color. So I think I've broken up the egg, perfectly, just enough. We'll turn it back to there, and then you just got to keep slowly stirring that until it becomes nice
and it's off the heat,
and it's off the heat. So I've taken it off the heat to add the milk because, the egg yolks. Very quickly that can go from a good dessert to a bad dessert in seconds. So we've taken it off the heat. Mix that in.
And we saw that split second when she took it off the heat.
Exactly.
It's really, timing is really important.
When it comes to these
I'm
types
also
of
learning it because my aunt is the master of making this pudding. She's never shared the recipe with me, thanks, Aunt. So I'm learning also how to make this from scratch.
So we've just gone and added now about a teaspoon, just a pinch of nutmeg, and then a couple of spoons of sugar for sweetness, because it's a dessert, you need to have sweetness. So now what we're doing is we can actually put the heat back on. There we go.
That egg is now
egg is cooked out. So now all we want is for this to turn. We can actually switch back to the spatula into a nice, thick, luscious, creamy, and it's already happening. So quick.
Now, for yourself, Chef, when you do think of sago pudding, earlier you were saying that it just makes you a little bit more reminiscent of everything we stand for here in our Rainbow Nation. So if you were to add a little bit more South African flavors and textures and tastes, how could you do that? Or if someone wants to omit something and take it out, how then can they do it with not compromising too much?
Yeah. I know a lot of people, a lot of South Africans add to their sago pudding custard powder. So you could add just a tablespoon or two of the custard powder when you're doing this, and obviously you're going to get more of a custardy texture. You're going to get a bit slightly thicker texture, and once that's done, is also get baked. So that's another version of this, where you take this and it will be in this texture that it is into a baking dish, and you pop it in the oven and you bake, and it's like a pudding. You get a nice little eggy crust on top, not eggy in that sense, but a good eggy crust, and you can dust it with cinnamon, and it comes. It's.
And I
just one of
suppose
those
that also
things.
just depends on how you prefer the texture of your sago pudding, because I can imagine the different ways of preparing it.
Yes.
Also, then it just naturally would come out differently.
Obviously. So we have got a very good texture over here. The pearls have gone nice and clear. One thing to remember with sago is once you've taken it off heat and it stands, it's going to get thick. And things are going to happen. So if it comes out when it's done and you come back in an hour's time and you're like, well, that does not look like the way I left it, don't be scared. What you can always do is just add a little bit of milk again back on the heat, add a little bit of milk to start thinning that out. Smell.
Girl, that smells delicious.
Yes.
That really does smell like home.
Yeah.
It does. And so all we're waiting now is for Mo and her egg whites.
Should I take it a bit further?
Yeah, we can take it just a smedge and further.
Yeah,
than
because
that.
it
And then I'm
really
going to,
needs-
while I'm waiting for you, maybe put this back on a very, very low heat.
Yeah.
And just give that a good stir, because the longer we stir it, the more we leave it on the heat, the thicker it's going to get.
Okay.
So this also helps to lighten it up a little bit.
Yes, so it's not going to have that overly heavy, weighed down texture that desserts with cream usually have. So
Yeah.
that's going to lighten that up amazing.
I love that. Chef, I'm going to have to ask you to just show us then how we can transfer it from the pot to the end finished dish. I've got my strawberries already here.
Okay,
ready to
cool.
go.
Let's do that.
Chef Mo seems like she's quite well on
she's
her
done.
way.
Oh,
So let's put that together just
do
in the
that.
last finishing
No
few
problem.
seconds.
So we're just going to very quickly pop that egg. And you can see there's, look
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah.
And just give it a nice stir to incorporate that.
Like a folding action.
A folding action, yeah. And at least at this point, we don't have to worry about possibly deflating the egg whites. It's okay. It's a cooked dessert. So we're just going to do round and then cut through.
I mean, that is such a healthy portion. I can imagine the entire family at the end of dinner just diving in there to enjoy this delicious treat. I'm loving it, ladies. As we put the finishing touches on it, to get this delicious sweet treat recipe, please do head over to afternoonexpress.co.za. Here are some berries, ladies, and let's put the finishing touches on that.
Just gonna get that going. Oh, that's hot. Let's do.
See you after break, Mzansi, as we sit around our table to enjoy dinner. Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Now, ladies, we have made absolute magic in the kitchen, and I do say this every single week because it's absolutely true. So, Chef Mo, can you talk us through what we made just briefly from the top of the show to now?
So from the top, we made a beautiful cheese and biltong wreath, which also looks quite impressive and stunning.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for those tips, Chef. And then Chef Ayesha's version of the baked feta pasta, which we did on the stovetop. And we added some chicken and a beautiful sago pudding.
Delicious. And of course, we just added a different side, something fresh to the mix, which is a beautiful pineapple salad. So, ladies, let's dive in. And I'm definitely going to be telling you what I think.
I'm going to give you the pasta. You can help yourself.
I mean, this really was what I was most looking forward to. On social media, I already told everyone that, you know, I want to see how Chef Ayesha can whip up a delicious pasta, a feta and chicken pasta. And this is essentially it to perfection. There we go.
That. I'm going to let you have seconds.
Now, ladies, as we are passing the food around and start eating and tasting, we wanted to find out from you on social media, what would you rate your cooking if we were to visit you? We've got Cynthia here, and Cynthia says 10 out of 10. I'm a great cook and very creative with my cooking. Now, ladies, do we trust Cynthia 10 out of 10?
I would think so, but I mean, who's going to be really honest about themselves when it comes to the kitchen and your cooking skills?
Yeah, she's very confident, must say.
I'm here for it. Here's another viewer who is very confident. Joan says, #Afternoon Express. I would like to think I'm a 10 out of 10. As a teenager, my late mom taught me how to cook, make pastries and bake. So by the time she was too ill to do much, I was able to cook for my dad and siblings. Today, I can relax a little as my adult children have all left the home, but they still want me to bake for them. My speciality is chocolate cake. I mean, Joan, I want to come visit you, girl.
Definitely. I mean, I'm married out of the house, and I still ask my mom to bake me a steak pie. It's something we all do, all of the kids. We still ask my mom to get, and we've actually got one in the freezer sitting right now that she baked for us last week.
Wow.
So I fully agree with her and I understand.
I'm here for it, and I am here for this chicken pasta. It's delicious. I mean, I'm normally a person who likes the more creamy-based pastas, the ones made from like a white wine reduction, a whole lot of cream. But this also does not skimp out on the creaminess. That feta does definitely come through. The chicken is cooked to perfection, and the flavor of that pasta, you know when you said the sea salt, that your water needs to be, as I was like, girl, that sounds salty, but this is delicious. I love it.
Flavor. That's exactly what this is.
Chef Mo, your rating?
I love it, and I also think that your tip with adding the tomato puree is perfect. That also helps to coat the pasta, so it's not dry. It's quite nice and saucy, much like us. We're all saucy.
Yeah, we all saucy.
I'm here for it. I mean, Chef Ayesha, I'm going to pass you my plate because I would love some of the wreath.
Let's have.
I mean, I do love some biltong, keeping it proudly South African, and I love cheese and honey pastry. I'm not going to lie. Is my weakness. I do love a good pastry.
And we've got a good, can I give you a few spoons? We've got a nice chakalaka dip. Again, keeping it local there.
Of course, as you are dishing up for me, I'm going to read out Nomtandazo's rating that she decided to give herself. She goes, my cooking is so bad. I give myself a 2 out of 10. I'm lazy to think of recipes. Even cooking is not really my thing. #Afternoon Express. I mean, Nomtandazo, if you were watching from the top of the show, that 2 out of 10 should be bumped up at least to an 8 out of 10 because Chef Ayesha helped us, girl, and that's what we're here for.
Exactly. I love the fact that she was honest. Because not many people would be about their cooking skills, so big ups to her.
I love that. Let me have a taste of this. Have a little bit of chutney. You said that's some chutney dip?
Chakalaka chutney.
And it's all super simple recipes to
That's
make.
the thing.
Few ingredients, that is the way to go. If you're a beginner cook, that's the best way to start.
This is delicious. I love it. I thought that maybe the biltong would be too dry after coming out of the oven, but it really isn't. Mzansi, it's quite nice still. The flavor is there. And that cheese also. No, I'm telling you.
I mean,
definitely something to try. Absolutely. I mean, Chef, when you were to just round up your thoughts and your sentiment and maybe a message for the viewers this Human Rights Month, what is important for them to remember?
I think it's always, I mean, looking forward to the future, you've got to look back a little bit and just always remember the reason why we celebrate Human Rights Day. Just for everyone to keep that in mind, especially for the youth, and understand that even though it is, you know, I think about almost 3 decades later, that there are still communities that are suffering, that are marginalized, and always going forward to just keep them in mind and remember, and to do your part in how you can to help make South Africa a lot better for the future.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, ladies, let me just get some drink here so that we can all cheers to that. What incredible sentiments there by Chef Ayesha. And I think that that's something that speaks to the woman you are and the chef that you are. Cheers to us, ladies. Chef, thank you for joining us yet again.
Thank you very much for having me. Exciting as always.
Exciting as always. Now, ladies, as I dive into this delicious sago pudding, we will be back tomorrow on Afternoon Express as we have another edition of our Wellness Wednesday for you. Now, I'm looking forward to it as much as I'm looking forward to this sweet treat.
And
Oh, you know when I dance in the kitchen, it's good to go. So whilst I dance into the rest of this evening, good night, stay safe and happy eating, Mzansi.
Bye.
Make the most of glorious summer with your picnic favorites. Made with love by Clover.
Another feel-good production.